Right, I think we're live. Make sure we have enough microphone and such, and whatever other stuff we need. Hello, come on, testing, and whatever other stuff we need. All right, it's not exactly where I started, but YouTube gets to decide some questions. So anyway, so I figure I will just preview the contest a little bit. So there'll be, I just keep it simple. So there'll be a $3,000 prize to whoever. I mean, I really want to make a second prize. So $2,500 to the winner. Well, let's just say $3,000 to the winner. Nice round number. And then $500 to the person in second. Okay. And the idea is you'll get points for how accurate your list is, in what order you think they will fall, so to speak, and having to concede that I have produced a theory of substantial substance. So the phrase will be something like, they concede that draft physics or draft science has made a contribution to theoretical physics, has made a a Nobel Prize warranted. No, it's got to be a better phrase. Something like that phrase. Just conceding that yes, my contribution merits a Nobel Prize. Something like that will be the phrase that they have to sign off to. And and so yeah, so it'll just be about who concedes. I mean, they just have to, oh yeah, well, I hate the guy, but yep, he's right. It's the right way to think about it. It's more like the truth, something like that. But anyway, and yeah, that'll be it. So you just get points based on how close. So I don't know exactly how I'll do the point system yet, but you know, that's up to me. There'll be some point system that it will be trying to do nothing but be fair. So you'll get a point for having a name on the list, and then you get more points for having them in the right order. So you get, say you get 10 points for getting the name right in terms of they conceded in the top 10 of first to fall, or top 15, let's say. And then you lose a point for every how far off you are from whether they were first or 10th. Yeah, that's a good way to do it. All right, so that'll be the system. To enter, you have to email. I'll set up an email address just for the entries, and you have to provide the last 3 letters of your the first and last name that will be on the check. So if I was to write a check, I mean, PayPal will be okay, but if I was to write a check, it has to be to a name, and you have to provide the last 3 letters of the first and last name. And if your name is shorter than 3 letters, too bad then. You'll have to provide your name. Yeah, it's just the way it works out. Tough. That should prevent spammers and, you know, people entering more than once. And there'll be a simple rule that if you're, you know, liars suck. There'll be a liars suck rule. Fakers and phonies and frauds. And some legal statement saying something like, you probably should have to pay all the participants in the contest, if you're found to be a fraud and a crook, $50. And yes, I'll have to go to court to impose it on you, but maybe that'll be worth doing, because liars and cheaters suck. Yeah, so there'll be a little bit of technical small print, but not much, just basically the liars suck clause. And you know, it's a contract, legal contract. By participating, you agree to the terms, and it'll just basically say you paid attention to the fucking terms. the friggin' terms, and you understand the intent of the contest and all that stuff. And then I'll have the same thing in there. You have the right to, if there's any shenanigans on my part, any suspect of shenanigans, certainly people may claim a grievance against me if I have somehow defrauded anybody in any way in the processing of this contest with any kind of malicious or bigoted intent. If I do anything that I said I'm not going to do or whatever for no good reason except to cheat somebody or to do something, then yes, I am subject to penalties. A judge should consider me a bad person and punish me in some way. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So the list is posted below of what I have so far. It'd be nice if you people could come up with some other names to put on the list that were at all interesting. Somehow, you know, obviously relevant to physics and physics on YouTube, more specifically. I think kind of obviously. So if you can think, if there's some obvious names that are missing, yes, please provide them. I appreciate it. I mean, we're somewhere around 40 something names, so could use a few more to get to 50 would be nice. So, and if you have any suggestions regarding rules or ways of preventing people from entering twice beyond the ones I've sort of settled on, unless somebody comes up with a better idea. I mean, if there's a better way, then sure, let me know. But if nobody lets me know, then I have to do it the best way I can imagine. And so far, this is the best I've come up with. So anyway, so probably next week I will officially start the contest. And again, it will probably be a while. Who knows how long it will take. But the contest will end is once, let's say, it's probably going to be 10 people on the list anyway, as a minimum. Might be 15. So 15 people have to have conceded, and then the contest ends and we pick a winner. And then we start a new contest. So I want to do the contest for who will be the last ones to fall. So that'll be the contest after that. And I also want to do a contest about what university will offer me the deal, okay, so they can claim me, right? Because that's how it usually works with physicists. You usually get claimed by a university. So, you know, it'd be an interesting contest to see what university will claim me, you know, by providing me a reasonable deal. And frankly, those contests can be for even more money because then I'll have money. So it'll be a lot more fun. You know, I mean, theoretically, if I get 15 names, I mean, I really should be doing okay, but I just can't trust it. Let's just put it this way. If a university claims me before the contest ends, then I'll up the prize to $5,000. So that'll be a clause. So it's a $5,000 contest if a university claims me. If I sign a contract, then it's $5,000. Yeah, that sounds better. I like that. That's satisfactory. So I don't know if there's any other contest news. So I just have to do the email thing and the terms of service. I'm going to write that down, email. It'll probably be just simple, contest@draftphysics.com. You know, you're only supposed to enter once. And like I said, you don't get the money if the letters you provide me for your name on the check don't match. Okay, so I have to do the email and the toss. I guess it wouldn't be terms of service. I guess they're called something else. Conditions. Some kind of something. The small print of a contest. I don't know what that's called, but anyway. Is this working? Just curious. I'm not paying much attention to things. Well, I'm paying attention, but I'm distracted. Actually tired is what I am, probably. But anyway, all right, so let's do comments. Yeah, let's do comments. So I have to, I mean, it's really, everything changes. Not that everything changes. That's probably the wrong way to say it. It gets confusing because the OBS software changes lately. Has been changing for me anyway. So it's doing things differently than it did before. Oh, the colors are wrong. Cool. Oh, I have to fix that. That stupid red-blue thing is wrong. All right, well, I can't scroll the page because it'll scroll off the page. That's interesting. That's the top of the page, right? All right, so I don't know why this guy, what is it with people? I mean, they're just so freaking strange. So AK-47 communist. And, you know, these comments have nothing to do with physics. And it's like he wants to be a communist, and yet he can't obey rules. And communism is all about rules. You know, it just doesn't work without the rules. So why should science be immune to bourgeoisie influence? Because it's science. Because the whole point of it is to find the truth, facts, evidence. They're supposed to have principles like that. So that's why it should be immune to it. It's because they're supposed to repeat their experiments. They're not supposed to be in it for the money. They're not supposed to be all that kind of stuff. So by their own tenets, they're supposed to be a little bit better. But clearly, they are being corrupted. But I wouldn't call it bourgeois. I'd call it ego, and I'd call it the same influence. I would call it the influence of idiocracy. Lowest common denominator, popular physics rather than real physics. The lengths I have to go to still be a communist, Jesus. So what the fuck are you talking about here? I'm talking about materialism being a fundamental part of Marxism, by the way. I don't know what you're talking about, but it has nothing to do with this channel. Asshole. All right, have you ever talked about the delayed choice quantum eraser? Well, there's nothing to talk about because there's 9,000 assumptions in the experiment. It's all made out of mushy theory. And the statistical differences are so minor that how can anybody take it seriously? It's a chaos experiment. It isn't clear evidence of anything, that's for damn sure. So at least that one's somewhere close to being reasonable, so I guess I'll have to leave it there. Yeah, I think that's it. I need a few more cats. Okay, so that's just a joke. And that's about it. So the John Gray guy did post a link to this Kenneth Griggs video channel. And I went to his channel. It's all entanglement videos, which I'm not an entanglement kind of person. So wait. So, obviously I think entanglement's horse shit. So clearly it's really not on this subject. I'm really arguing fundamental physics, electricity, magnetism, gravity, the subjects of 100 years ago. I'm not arguing their new phantasmagorical whoop-de-doo nonsense. Although I find it awful, like gravity waves and entanglement. I think they're nonsense subjects. They have no foundation. But I really don't want to waste a whole bunch of time having an argument about convoluted experiments that can't possibly be called hard evidence of anything. So I think posting I just don't see the point. What do you think is going to be gleaned out of a conversation? Do you think we're going to, we still don't even have all the details of the Allen aspect experiment in terms of exactly how it was performed, because he claims to have a copyright for his little spinning mirror. So what the fuck? All right, anyway. So that's it for comments. So we're zooming way ahead here. So I did think what I would do, though, maybe is I'll play this horrible Thunderfoot video. Let's see, this should hopefully work. Is the new window open? I don't know if it did or didn't. Well, we'll see if it plays the Thunderfoot video.
Okay, this video is...
this video is going to be horseshit, is what it's going to be. Let's see, I gotta go see my preview to see if it's... it's close enough, I guess. It's not really in the right place. But it really doesn't matter. It's close enough. You can see the thing mostly. I guess I could move it down a little. So we'll do that. I really don't want to. Yeah, I don't think I'll bother. Yeah, I think I'll leave it right where it is. Hell with it. Oh yeah, close enough. All right, so, oh, the colors are wrong though. Well, that's okay because it'll make it more fun. Yeah. It's a Thunderfoot video. Who cares? Okay, so I got to make it a little louder. So this is a terrible waste of time. So he spends whatever it is, 16 minutes, explaining something he could explain in 4 minutes. Could have been a 4-minute video, but he had to just keep dragging it out and making it seem more impressive than it really is.
It's awesome. In it, I'm going to show you how you can see directly electrons.
Directly electrons. I mean, you can't see electrons. This is just such nonsense. Beyond the fact that we always see electrons. Everything we see because of the electrons. If the electrons didn't, they're the things that interpret the photons. So when photons hit something, the electrons are what's doing the interpretation. When something radiates light, it's the electrons that are producing the phenomenon, essentially. The energy between the electrons is the energy that the photons are made out of. But we don't see the electrons. We're seeing the energy between them. They don't even know what a photon is. And they barely know what an electron is. And yet they're claiming, I mean, what are you doing, communist guy? Weren't you part of the rational, skeptic, atheist YouTube community back when? I have another channel. This channel is called Draft Frickin' Science. It doesn't have anything to do with any other agenda. Can you understand that? Can you? Can you? People have different channels to do different things. This channel doesn't have anything to do with atheism directly. I mean, beyond the fact that obviously a rational scientist couldn't be anything but an atheist. But beyond that, this is about physics. The icon is all kind of physicsy. I mean, the 1,000 videos on the channel are all about physics. So shape up or ship out, or I'll ship you out. Stay on the subject of physics, or just go somewhere else. It's not that complicated.
Not only that, but you remember the liquid metal terminator, the metal that had a life of its own. Yeah, that's real. And I'm going to show you how to do it.
Yeah, this is just so silly. So anyway, this bold claim right there, it says seeing electrons with a naked eye. You can't see electrons. The only thing you can possibly see is the force related to them, but that's as close as you'll ever get. It's an insipid statement.
No special effects whatsoever. And even more, I'm going to show you how to turn metal into gold. Something
you could just read a Wikipedia page and find out how to do if you could give a crap in the first place. And if you wanted to go to the trouble and expense and, having a little bit of knowledge about what you're doing, because you could also just blow your fingers off if you're not careful. So showing us how to potentially blow our fingers off, I don't know, that's a great idea.
That the alchemists fail to do. And I'm going to do it in about 15 minutes.
He's not going to do anything alchemists did. He's not going to make gold. This is all just talk. He's going to make stuff that is gold colored. He's going to make rust, ammonia rust, if that's what it can be called. That's what he's going to make. So, you know, I don't know what you call that. A monoxide? No, you can't call it an oxide. Monoxide. A monoxide. A monoxide. It's not oxygen, but it's ammonia oxide. It's ammonia-ide. Why don't they have a way of saying that that's better than this? It's ammonia rust.
Using some of the most abundant compounds in the universe.
Oh, just yes, but not abundant for people. Normal people don't have this crap sitting on their frickin' shelf.
You see, the most abundant element in the universe is hydrogen. By mass, the universe is about 75% hydrogen.
Oh, very interesting. Blah, 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 blah. Not. You already know that anyway, but fine. Yes, sun's full of hydrogen. They're making helium. So, yes, those would be the top two. Wow. And look how small the rest of them are, right? We're already down to 10,000 by the time you get to oxygen.
And by number of nuclei, it's about 85% hydrogen. So the compounds of hydrogen...
Well, technically, shouldn't you mention the dark matter again? The dark matter takes up even more mass of the universe, right? The dark matter is even more mass than the hydrogen. Whatever the dark matter element is. Unhydrogen.
The most common molecules.
Dark hydrogen.
In the universe. So the most common molecule in the universe is H2, hydrogen. Helium really doesn't make any compounds. Now, next down the list.
Well, that doesn't mean you ignore it. It means it's sort of interesting that it gets it's so perfect that it just doesn't need improvement.
Oxygen is the third most common atom in the universe.
Yes, and that's the one that does all that oxidizing. So yes, it's very it connects with a lot of stuff really easy and makes a lot of rusty stuff, a lot of oxides, lots and lots of oxides. And so you're just going to go find another thing that's a little bit like oxygen, which is ammonia, in terms of its ability to make an oxide. How fascinating.
And the hydride of oxygen is water, the second most common molecule in the universe.
So he calls it a hydride. Yes, yes, when you mix it, oxygen with something, and you can mix oxygen with almost everything. So, yes, you can make a compound. Oh.
It's maybe unsurprising at this point, of course, that 2/3 of the atoms in your body are hydrogen. Carbon's the next most common element in the universe, and the hydride of this is methane, which crops up again and again.
So again, the hydride, just saying when you combine it with hydrogen, so, you know, whatever. But look how small it's getting. Now we're down to 4,000 from, you know, 739,000.
All over the solar system. Neon and iron really don't form much in the way of hydrides, and next down the list is nitrogen, and the hydride of nitrogen is ammonia. And it's maybe not unsurprising at this point that if you take a look at the outer planets, they basically reflect this. They're mostly hydrogen and helium with a bit of water, methane, and ammonia. So what is...
With tiny bits of those other things, but whatever. So the whole thing is that he's going to, well, we'll let him get to it, but this is just such a drawn out pile of nothing.
It's ammonia.
Cool. So this is ammonia. Well, this is the tube that comes out of it. It's a gas.
So, okay. So he's got ammonia gas. So, yes, we all don't have that. We don't have ammonia gas sitting in our, you know, kitchens. And we're certainly not going to go to the trouble to turn into a liquid at minus 40 degrees centigrade.
So as you get this going, and we have a feel, hear the gas going. Oh, yeah, even now, you get a good whiff of ammonia, and it's kind of like getting hit in the face. It's
yes, none of us know that, right? We're all completely have no experience with ammonia.
Oh, yeah, that's how sharp it is. It's really sharp, but relatively short-lived.
Yes, nobody knows that. So thank you. We all needed that information, Barney.
And it's more or less the same if it gets in your eyes. It stings like crazy, but it doesn't have a long period of time. It's a bit weird like that. Anyway. So that's ammoniac.
What about if you stick it in your ass? Does it sting there too? Did you try that?
Coming out of there. As you can see, it's a pretty reasonable gas. So how do you make this into a liquid? Well, there are two principal ways that you can do it. The first is you get it really cold, which you would do with a block of carbon dioxide like that, or you can pressurize it, which you would do in a cylinder.
So he's not going to do that. He's going to do this instead. And he has to teach us about dry ice.
There's our block of carbon dioxide. And we need to break some bits off that. You can just about move the stuff with your bare hands, but you get frostbite, really burns, freezes your fingers really pretty quickly.
Well, then I guess you can't do it with your bare hands then, right? I mean, come on, let's be a little bit reasonable. Frostbite would be a limiting factor. Oh, yes, no, that isn't something you can do with your bare hands then, right? Frostbite, if you're getting frostbite or your fingers are getting burned off, then that would be something you say, hey, no, put on an oven mitt or something.
It does all sorts of weird stuff. I'll show you in a second. But you just sort of break it down. Carbon dioxide like this. We want a few blocks.
Very exciting, blah, blah, blah.
So here I've got a thermometer. It's 22 degrees Celsius at the moment. That's room temperature.
Yes, it's going to get very cold when you see how cold the frozen carbon dioxide is.
That's a block of carbon dioxide. That's basically the gas vaporizing.
Very exciting also.
And does all sorts of weird stuff. Right, so that's basically the
very, very, very interesting.
Temperature of the carbon dioxide is minus 78.
Carbon dioxide screams when you hit it with a wrench.
But obviously, pushing stuff into carbon dioxide is a pain in the ass because this is a solid and doesn't have a very good conductivity. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get some ethanol and pour the ethanol onto the dry ice. At which point it does some interesting stuff. So that's now like carbonated ethanol, fizzy ethanol. But the good thing is it should have a temperature of minus 20. So this is now a liquid that's actually really cold. I only need like minus 30 to liquefy the ammonia. So
right, so we can all do this at home.
This will now easily liquefy ammonia. So here I have my tube with ammonia. If I actually just blow my ammonia into this pot here, absolutely.
I wonder what would happen if you used the ammonia you can buy, which was probably some sort of ammonia sulfate or something. I wonder if that would work just as well as doing all this super cold crap.
The diddly squat happens until I just stick it into the liquid, the ethanol dry ice bath. At which point you should find you start to get stuff condensing in there. It does actually condense really quite quickly. Yeah, that's basically liquid ammonia. There are various ways I can demonstrate that this is actually liquid ammonia. Maybe the simplest is I'll just pour it into another little ampule.
Very exciting.
And just how quickly it boils off, you see?
Yes.
And this is actually still quite cold.
Cool, so that's liquid ammonia. Now, if you get sodium and add it
So he obviously just didn't prove that it was ammonia, but fine.
to water, the second most common molecule in the universe, you get a pretty decent explosion.
So now he's going to about sodium when you add it to water. Sodium and water explodes. Fine.
Which is related to the electrons from that sodium going into the water. This was explored at some length on this channel and actually resulted in a publication in a very prestigious science journal.
I doubt I would consider it prestigious if this is what it fell for.
So what happens is the electrons get sucked off the metal into the water where they have a very short lifetime.
So he says the electrons get sucked off, which I think is dubious. This notion that electrons can float around free, no, they really can't.
Because the water reacts with them so quickly. Now, when we did this work, we found we had to work with sodium-potassium alloy because it was possible to get this really clean metal surface with it, which is, again, remarkable if you think about it. You take sodium, which is a solid, and potassium, which is a solid, and you mix the two together.
So he's already done this, mixing sodium and potassium together to make the stuff that looks pretty much like mercury. Not that amazing.
And you get a beautiful liquid metal. It goes a little something like this.
So what I've got here is some potassium and some sodium.
We'll
They're
speed
both
up
about the
a
same
little.
density, and so the ratio
Sodium
of volumes
and
basically gives me the ratio in which I'm mixing them in.
Yeah.
Squish these two together. I'm going to get on the microscope here. There you go, you see? Liquid. You push two solids together, and you get liquid metal, no less.
Well, you're starting with two pretty crappy metals, obviously, pretty spongy. They're already halfway to being liquid. Yes, we need every little bit of this mixing part. Yeah, it's very exciting.
Transfer it from one to the other using a syringe. These incredible things here. It's beautiful metallic.
Yeah, so he's trying to get rid of the oxidation for what I guess with the alcohol or whatever he mixed it with. I guess it's alcohol or something like that. It can't be water because then the whole thing would have exploded. So that's the danger here. I mean, he's doing this experiment as if this is safe when it's probably fairly dangerous if you're getting water in there, but who knows?
Like liquid in the syringe. Let's see what we measure.
Wow, look at that.
Wow,
Wow.
Oops. And one single drop of ethanol as well.
All right, so I don't know what fluid he has in here, but now he's putting alcohol in it to get rid of, again, a layer of whatever, rustation. Rustation.
That's worse. It's a bit vicious. A bit vigorous. Yeah. So, and after that, got this beautiful metal.
Again, very exciting.
You can hardly tell it's metal at all.
Yes, and I can see the electrons all over the place. There's one.
It's not shiny. Cool, right.
So when sodium potassium alloy reacts with water, you get a pretty decent explosion.
All right, sodium potassium reacts with water. So obviously it doesn't have water. So don't put water in your mixture of sodium and potassium because it will explode.
Cool. So that's the reaction with
Cool.
water, the second
Childish.
most common molecule in the universe. What about with ammonia, the fourth most common molecule?
How common it is, I really don't think it has anything to do with it. It's kind of like the shape is doing the oxide thing again. Yeah, the ide thing. It's iding.
In the universe? Well, something even more remarkable happens. You see, in water, the electrons drift into solution very quickly, but react with the water. But in ammonia, they drift into solution very quickly, but they don't react. They just sit there as solvated electrons.
So I did look up the Wikipedia page on this idiotic, whatever a solvated electron is. Clearly, it's not an electron. Solvated just means it's moved. The electrons are ions, essentially, attached to whatever your solution is that it's mixing with. Electrons are not solvated, whatever that means.
And it's not hard to spot when this happens.
Okay. So there we have some freshly condensed liquid ammonia. There we have some sodium potassium alloy. And what do you think is going to happen when we put our metal, beautiful metal, into the sodium potassium alloy?
So it did pop a little. So it did react very energetically. And now the, it's a new compound that's obviously absorbs light, in the reds and the yellows and leaving behind the blues.
And there it goes, blue, a crazy blue. Isn't that nice and cool? Now if we put another drop in there, see if anything interesting else happens. And you see it starts getting metallic. Yeah? Absolutely crazy.
Oh yeah, crazy. It's very exciting.
It's beautiful metallic liquid.
Oh no, it's boring. All right, let me see what the commenters have to say. Okay, he says. So have you debunked the delayed choice quantum? Look, you already asked the same question twice now. Yes, I've played some of the videos of these things, but I'm pointing out how they're premise that they can make photons, crystals that create 2 photons is idiotic. You know, that 1 photon goes in and 2 photons come out, or whatever the horse shit is. It's just idiotic. They have no evidence that that's what's happening. They use it to say it proves idealism over materialism. Okay, you're still off the subject. So you have one more comment about materialism and idealism or communism, and you're blocked. Okay, I'm just letting you know. This has nothing to do with idealism over materialism, cunt. There's no such thing as idealism anyway. It's a freaking made-up piece of shit, nothing word. It's like saying loveism. It doesn't mean anything. Oh, he's blue because the software made him blue, and I don't feel like fixing it right now. Jesus Christ.
Now, that blue color you're looking at is single solvated electrons in solution. As the concentration gets much higher.
So again, solvated electrons. The Wikipedia page is like 3 paragraphs. This solvated electron crap is just that crap. There's no theory explained. There's no nothing. There's no diagrams of how these electrons can just fly around free without going anywhere. It makes absolutely no sense. It's just frickin' rubbish. They're frickin' molecular ions. That's what they are. They're not free electrons. And you're certainly not seeing electrons. This is just such a pile of crap.
Yet as we transition to this sort of metallic liquid, which is actually a really concentrated solution of these solvated electrons in ammonia.
Yeah, so it's a solution. Yeah, a solution of solvated electrons. Again, how does that even make sense? If you know, I mean, electrons, electrons hate each other and love protons. And yet we're supposed to believe that they fly out and just find some place where there's no atoms at all and just say, I'm just going to hang out here all by myself and make photons that you can see. So you can see where I am, because I'll make photons. It can't happen. There's no theory for that either. Just frickin' rubbish.
Now, those solvated electrons are almost unique in the whole of chemistry.
Oh, yes. It's almost unique in the sense that it's like so many of your unique theories, completely not based on a single shred of evidence. Just made up rubbish about what you think it's doing. And your thoughts are idiotic because they're not consistent with everything we know about how photons are produced. And the fact is they're produced in atoms, things under pressure. Free electrons, by definition, can't be under pressure.
What normally keeps the negative electron mostly in one place is a potential well, a sort of electrostatic hole into which the electron falls, and that potential well is caused by a positive charge. Specifically,
yes, there's lots of wells. Around the whole frickin' atom is a well for an electron. There's no, all of a sudden there's protons pressure, protons are attractive to here, and then right after this line, the proton's completely invisible. That's not how protons work. It's not how atoms work. It degrades by, an R factor. In this case, it would be the inverse square. Well, it'd be an R factor of some kind. The distance, it would degrade over distance between 2 charges by the inverse square law for 2 charges. So there's no, all of a sudden you're either attracted or you're not attracted.
a tiny atomic nucleus. That's basically what keeps the electrons there. And that's the case for almost all the electrons in your body. This, on the other hand, is completely different. Here, that potential well, the electrostatic box that keeps the electron all in one place, is actually caused by the solvating ammonia molecule.
Solvating. So again, more just nonsense, a nothing word. How are they solvating? What does that actually mean? You mean ions?
In fact, it's just one of the most remarkable things to sit there and watch when you understand what's going on, is you get some liquid ammonia.
Oh yeah, and so there's no description of what's actually going on. It's not on the Wikipedia page, certainly not in this anywhere where we get any explanation for what this solvating electron looks like or how possibly it could be in suspension.
Put a bit of electrolyte in there, so lithium chloride or something, and then you pass electricity through the solution. You electrolyze the solution.
So lithium chloride, I think he said, or something. So he's putting electricity through, just doing electrolysis. This will happen with any compound just about that's got the least bit of conductivity. You'll rip it to pieces and it'll go through the solution and end up depositing itself on the other probe, the other electrode.
And the electrons just simply fall off the electrode and go into solution.
Right. So what's so surprising? They go into solution and they'll end up depositing on the other element, probably eventually, because they're ions.
But maybe one of the most remarkable things here is when the concentration gets really high with these solvated electrons, where the concentration gets so high that they essentially form a band structure, and it goes from being this dark blue solution.
A band structure. They're atoms.
The one that's more bronze or gold in color. Now imagine another experiment.
Right. So everything, you know, chemical changes are not a big surprise. Lots of elements will grow crystals, grow all kinds of stuff. So this is just not in any way substantive.
We're just going to get a tube and we're going to pass an inert gas through it, and we're going to put a single drop of sodium potassium alloy in there. And just for the sense of scale, that's the tip of a hypodermic needle. And then we're going to dip all of that into our alcohol and carbon dioxide cold water. And then we're going to add ammonia to that inert gas stream. So what happens is the ammonia starts condensing on the surface, and you get these really cool effects. And it's all
Rust. You get a rust. This is rust, a form of ammonia rust.
also helped by the fact that we can actually turn off the flow of ammonia, at which point the ammonia starts evaporating into the inert gas stream. And you just get some of the most beautiful things that I've ever.
Yeah, so it's all about the beauty, but there wasn't much science in here.
Seen in science.
So anyway, it's just more and more of this. So there's no more physics here. So it grows crystals. This is again, these are just these are just ides. Okay, chemical ides. Lots of substances grow crystals. Completely unremarkable. Okay, no, enough of that shit. Ugh, pathetic video, really. Can we submit physics videos? What do you mean submit them for what? The subject of this video, I mean, I already explained to you. My argument is unifying physics and unifying it based on what there's actually some kind of rational evidence for. All right? Gravity, electricity, magnetism. Your whoop-de-doo bullshit I have no interest in. Because it's bullshit. I just can't imagine how bad this video is going to be. Whatever this piece of shit is. It's going to be some kind of bullshit phantasmagorical crap. Ah, yes. I've already played this video. All right. These PBS videos are stupid. What is this guy's name? I gotta put him on the list. What a douche. Let's see. Oh, buy a t-shirt. Oh yeah, I have to go get myself one. Reddit. Let's see if they have his name here somewhere. Oh, the most successful mathematics of quantum mechanics. It's just such a pile of shit. They write formulas describing effects, and they call those predictions. I mean, how fucking circular can they get? I mean, just right in your face, circular. Cats are alive and dead, or even the universe is constantly splitting into infinite alternative realities. I mean, you idiots really are stupid enough to fall for that without anything called really good evidence. So, really, really good evidence. Oh, amazing. So who is this dork? I hate this guy. Let's see. Episode written and hosted by Matt O'Dowd. Okay. I'll put him on the list. Douche. Dun, 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 dun. Search my channel for PBS, and you'll see there's a few PBS videos I've done already. Yeah, put him on the. It's got to be on the talking heads, but the shitty talking heads. Let's see where the shitty talking heads. Yeah, I won't give him full status. He's got 60 symbols kind of status. All right. God, the world is just so doomed. Pilot wave is supposed to be the least wooish quantum mechanic interpretation. Well, I don't know how you can figure that, but whatever. I don't really care. I mean, really, a photon's the simplest thing in the universe. Goes from point A to point B in a straight line at a constant speed, and yet we're supposed to believe that it sees a slit and it says, oh, it's a slit. Oh my God, a slit. I have to send out some pilot waves. That makes sense to you. And then it figures out, well, I sent out all my pilot waves. Now I'll do some quadratic equations to figure out which way I went by some random probability nonsense. I mean, it's really the random probability nonsense theory. So, I mean, really, so you think the universe just does real random. It doesn't do it anywhere else but in this stupid, idiotic circumstance. It does real random. I mean, it's just so fucking stupid. There's causes. Cause and effect. It's a cause and effect universe. It isn't a poofy, random bullshit universe. And even if you think that is a better kind of universe to be, you still should have something called real evidence, and you don't have any. Ugh, I hate this planet. Hate it, hate it, hate it, hate it. Hate it. Covered with morons. Oh, cool. His head's cut off. I like that. I could try to change the color. See if it'll probably crash the software, so that'll be fun. I probably shouldn't do it because it will crash it. Probably. So we'll just switch to some other view. That's what we'll do. We'll switch to scene number 2. Yes, the drawing. I can draw. I like that. All right, I'll fix this scene though. I could just switch to the next Professor Lewin video. Hey, how come it didn't work? I guess I didn't put it high enough. Oh, can't really see much of that. So we'll just go with this instead. Yeah. All right. So I'll give you a few minutes if you have anything to contribute. So if you have any names to suggest to be added to the list, as I've just added one, I would appreciate it. If you have any advice regarding preventing people from cheating, I'd appreciate it. What else? Yeah, that's it. Any other suggestions are fine, whatever. And so probably next week the contest will begin. Yeah. And what else? Is there anything else? Not a scientist, but inspiring philosophy. I don't know what that means. I don't think you're inspiring anything rational when you have a stupid screen name like AK-47 Communist. Even if it has to come to civil war someday and all that stuff, you just don't broadcast it. Yeah. Just not productive to your own cause. I mean, you should say maybe cute kitty communist or something. Just saying. It's a channel name, Inspiring Philosophy. Well, I'm sorry, you're still not getting it. This is a physics channel. The only people relevant to this list are people doing physics. Damn. Yeah, it's just amazing. Well, wait, yeah, touches on it a bit in some phantasmagorical pussy way. Yes, that's couldn't be more irrelevant, and you should be able to figure that out. I mean, I've said it to you at least 3 times now, and you just keep ignoring it. There's no metaphysics. There's no philosophy of physics. Physics is a science based on evidence because it's physical. There's physical evidence for it. You can't prove, some stuff. Some philosophical questions are philosophical questions. They'll never find the book of truth that has the answers. You have to deduce them indirectly, But physics is a little different because you can get hard evidence. And you can certainly understand what a grotesque contradiction is, like inventing dark matter and particle wave duality bullshit. Look, I don't know who Shield Goldstein is. You're not putting any, you're just going to waste my time. Sheldon Goldstein. Who the fuck is that? I mean, there's no context. So you're just basically telling me I have to go look up this guy too. It's just a dead reference. And I don't trust you anyway. I mean, it's going to be another phantasmagorical, right? Well, I'll just let you know. I mean, if I'm going to the trouble, I'm going to put this asshole's name in here. If he's a phantasmagorical, I'm blocking you. I mean, I've made it really clear I'm not interested, and you just wasted my fucking time. Quantum theory without observers 3. He's just he's another bullshitter. He's not even one who's anybody gives a shit about. So he's not going to make the list. Yeah, here it is. Yes, this more two-slit nonsense, more phantasmagorical, woolly little bullshit. Ugh, disgusting. Yuck. Yeah, well, again, whatever, bohemian. This is just so useless. I'll say it again. The subjects are gravity, magnetism, and electricity in the context of evidence. So I think we're going to have to recognize we have irreconcilable differences. So thanks, but no thanks. All right, this is a waste of time. All right, so anyway, I guess I'll take care of my phone call and get the hell out of here because it's just annoying me. Annoying the hell out of me. So anyway, till the next time and such.